Hello again. In a bid to recoup money owed to them, the City of Tshwane says businesses with illegal connections will be fined 10 million rand each. The city has been battling to settle their account with Eskom, which stands at over 1.4 billion rand. Last week, bus operations were halted due to fuel shortages, with the mayor of Tshwane, Randall Williams, saying various businesses, together with one government department, owe the city about 50 million rand for defaulting on their water bills. Williams has also urged those who are defaulting to come forward and make payment arrangements or face the wrath of the city. Let's get you more detail. We speak to the Finance MMC in Tshwane, Mr. Peter Sutton. Thank you very much, Peter, for your time this afternoon. So how's that going?
Dudu, thank you very much for the invitation and to your viewers as well. We went out. I accompanied the mayor yesterday on the Tshwane Yatima campaign relating to the one government department and the businesses that you are referred to in your opening remark. And it was quite alarming that we found there. We've found in 3 of those businesses illegal connections in the main 11 kV distribution boxes. One was an actual illegal distribution network that was set up where it seems the person had been selling electricity that he was stealing from the city to tenants and to other business owners. So we identified those, we dealt with it, we'll have follow-up inspections, and as you correctly pointed out, the illegal connection fee has been levied on those accounts.
How did you deal with it? Has their connection been subsequently cut off?
Correct. We go out with all the relevant teams. So we had the teams with us on site to identify. We had all our finance department relevant people from the electricity department. We had people, and then of course electricians as well. All the evidence was taken down. It was identified as illegal connections, and then the electricians continued with the disconnection and the removal of those illegal connections, which obviously meant then the people were without power. We then levied a fine, and the only way they can get that power now restored is to come and make payment arrangements with the city. And we will have follow-up meetings, and in cases where it was possible, we also weld the doors closed, so that the only way you can get access now is through with the angle grinder to open those doors. So we will have follow-up inspections to make sure it hasn't been connected again illegally. But I must also point out, these were 3 businesses and 1 government department. And we know there are many more, and we continue with these process every single day going forward. Thank you.
Was the government department also distributing electricity illegally?
Absolutely not. No, the government department is not one of those that had illegal connections. They were simply just in arrear.
Okay. Given the monies that the city owes to Eskom, one assumes that by recouping the monies from people who owe the city, you'll then be able to meet your commitment with Eskom. Perhaps just remind us, Peter, of how the city got to this point where you're owing Eskom some 1.7 million rand.
Thank you, Dudu. Well, it's purely just a case of us not recouping what we invoiced out. And as you correctly point out, what we buy in bulk from Eskom on a monthly basis and what we recoup through the sale of electricity in the City of Tshwane is less than what we buy from Eskom. And then, of course, we also have people not paying their municipal accounts. So we have a culture of non-payment. So there are 2 issues that I'm pointing out. The one is non-payment, which we are dealing with. And then the second one is the theft of electricity, where people steal electricity that they do not pay for, and that we're not aware of. So that's the second part of that. So it's very important for us to take those actions. We must get the balance shifted so we can recoup more on the electricity than what we buy from Eskom. And if we get people to pay their municipal accounts. So what we have at the moment is a liquidity challenge due to the non-payment, or this culture of non-payment, which is pushing us in a position where we can't pay Eskom. And then, of course, we also have to be honest. There's also a misbalance in other aspects of the budget. This is not the only reason. You're looking at structures that are top-heavy, that are not balanced in terms of what we need to do with the municipality, especially when it comes to fixed costs, semi-fixed costs, etc. And we need to get all of those in order. But they are very much determined on legislation and Labour Act legislation, so it's not something you can correct overnight.
Yeah. Well, Peter, to that point, right, the last time we had the mayor on the program here on the channel with regards to the Auditor General's flagging of that 10 billion rand of irregular expenditure with that report. It cited there was no proper record keeping, leave pay accrued overstated by some 800 million rand, no proper asset keeping with properties and equipment being understated by some 4.9 billion rand. And so this very damaging report for the city. Just how much, I think you have highlighted it, how it played a role, but where are you in the process? Because it was put down to one person, but where are you in the process of identifying people who did the wrong things and holding them to account?
Thank you very much. Well, I can tell you, firstly, we're in an MCAM process now, so that's a process where we need to correct these audit findings, and we are at a very advanced stage with the MCAM process, but we still have a lot of work to do to correct those material misstatements that the Auditor General have pointed out. We have set ourselves 60 days to correct majority of those, which will be the end of March, and we're monitoring the progress on that. As far as the other investigations, we have a number of forensic investigations underway at the moment. I actually just received feedback on one of them as I was joining your call, your interview. And unfortunately, we have to wait for those to be concluded, and that will obviously point out if and who other individuals involved that needs to have consequence management taken against. And then, of course, we also have the aspect where we have a number of forensic investigations that have been concluded relating to the irregular expenditure that we now need to take through the Impact Oversight Committee, so they can make a recommendation whether we need to recoup that funds from individuals or whether we need to write them off as council. So that we're driving hard at the moment, so we can get into that. And I think we've made good progress on that part to reduce that 10 billion cumulative irregular expenditure amount. And it's a major focus here in the City of Tshwane at the moment. I think the mayor has extensively answered on that in the past, but I can just say again, it was a big shock for us to have seen what the Auditor General has found, and we need to correct that with haste.
Peter, what do you say then to the opposition, growing calls from opposition parties as well for the mayor to be removed? But I think my question pointedly, some pointing out that it's a classic case of the pot calling the kettle black, especially when it comes to these defaulters in the city and people who are found to be on the wrong side of the law, saying, well, take a look at what is happening at the head. You know, the fish rots from the bottom down, from the top down, rather.
Of course, and I totally agree with your last statement that a fish rots from the top down. And I think we need to, firstly, on your question about the politics around this, politics is politics, and yes, the opposition will use this opportunity for them to call for political consequences to the mayor and to various other people. But we also need to be very clear, from my perspective, is that the mayor is not involved in the audit process. The mayor is not by law allowed to get involved in the administration. He can, however, do oversight over the city manager, and the city manager is responsible for oversight over the administration. What the forensic audits and investigations we have underway at the moment will indicate, as soon as they are released, is whether there was a deliberate attempt to mislead the mayor, or whether this was purely just a mistake and a negligence on many people's side that lead us to this situation. From where I'm standing, I have an opinion on what I think has happened, and I think we will wait for those investigations to confirm that. But certainly, I do not feel the mayor is the person who needs to who has to be the only person who needs to be reprimanded by the opposition. I think we need to be honest and mature and say that there are various people, and majority of them in the administration that needs to account for what we have seen here. Especially if you consider on the back that we have been presented with financial statements and reports, or financial reports, let me just correct there, not statements, financial reports on a monthly and quarterly basis that served through Council, that went through all the oversight structures, the various Section 79 committees, etc. Nobody picked up some of the material misstatements that have been presented now. And we also go back to the audit opinion, which points out that many of that information has been misleading that was presented to the Mayor and to Council. And the Mayor does not prepare those reports. It gets prepared by the administration. And that's why I say we need to wait for the forensic audits to be concluded so we can get to the bottom if there was a deliberate and an intent to mislead the Mayor and Council, or whether there's other reasons for that.
Peter Sutton is the Finance MMC for the City of Tshwane. Thank you.